So, what does self-love mean to you? So, this is something that maybe you journaled about or you reflected on. And this is just, there's no right or wrong answer to this. It's really like what is your definition of self-love? It could be just like compassion and acceptance for yourself. It could be just like having that unconditional love for yourself. It could be authenticity. It could be expression. Like whatever it means to you, this is just really something to reflect on because it's like as you come into greater self-love, it's like really important that you know what it even means. So again, self-love, compassion, nurturing, dating ourselves, boundaries. So like saying yes to ourselves. So it's really important to remember that like when we say no to something else, we're actually saying yes to ourselves. So that's really like honoring our truth and our own alignment and not people pleasing. We talked a lot about people pleasing last week. I think a little bit about people pleasing last week. And it's like being authentic to ourselves. So this kind of ties in with like the self-trust and like the trusting the intuition and that authenticity. And like that is an act of self-love as well. It's like when we can really be true to ourselves and like, what is my truth? What is my yes? What is my no in every situation? And it can change. Just because we said yes to this thing today doesn't mean we have to say yes to that thing all the time. Even with our partners, even with our friends, like it can change and that's okay. That's like, and then we get into like consent, and that's like a whole nother course on consent, and honoring that. But really, it's like, it's like that consent with ourselves and the boundaries. And so like we really want to honor ourselves because that is an act of self-love. And so, we think of like when I was younger and I was dating, and I would always be like, well, I wonder, if he likes me, or I wonder if he'll like this, or like, wondering all these things about him and like not actually, and a lot of women do this, especially women. I don't know if men do this too, probably more women, but not asking myself like, what do I want? What do I like? Do I like him? And I remember my dad, like when I was little, I would try something on in the dressing room and I would be like, "Well, what do you think?" And he would be like, "Well, what do you think? Like, you're the one that has to wear it." And it's like we want other people's opinions, of course, because it's like it's validating and it's also like another perspective. And also, we want to really empower ourselves, like that self-trust again, because when we do that, it is like, again, it's an act of self-love and we are tuning into like our authenticity and our truth. And this really comes into like that unconditional love for ourselves. So there's like kind of like a couple, we're going to kind of weave in like a few pieces of this because there's like the self-love of like honoring our authentic self and our truth. And like that's an act of self-love. And then we're also going to talk about oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. So we're also going to talk about like, oh, like dating ourselves and like what that looks like as well. So I mentioned that dating ourselves. Let me look at the next slide. So dating ourselves. So we think about like whether you're in a relationship or you're single, it doesn't matter. But it's like you treat your partner a certain way, or you would treat your partner a certain way, or you might want them to treat you a certain way. And so, what the idea is with dating ourselves is like, can we bring that, like, however we want our partner to treat us, or how we think we want to treat them, but like, really, how we would want our partner to treat us? Can we treat ourselves that same way? Can we learn to flirt with ourselves? Can we learn to buy ourselves flowers? Can we take ourselves out on dates? Can we like rub on ourselves? And really like bring in that love like it's somebody else, but you do it for yourself, because when we can do it for ourselves, then we don't need it from anybody else. And it's just like a bonus then when our partner like loves on us in that way. Of course we want love from our partner if you have a partner. And if you don't, that's okay too, but we won't need it in the same way, because we're able to nourish ourselves that way. And that is going to be really, really fulfilling. And it also gives us a little bit of like our own power and our own like autonomy in that. And a little bit of like independence in that too. So the next thing is, what is my love language? So what's your love language? And so this is, think about what your love language is for your partner. And like for me, like my love language is like I love all the love languages, honestly. Um, but I would say my top two are like the physical touch, affection, and spending time with me. Those are really, really important to me. And then I think I like gifts would be maybe next. Um, but really that to me, like the physical touch and like them spending time with me is like the most important. That's what I need to feel loved. And so if I'm going to turn this back on myself, then I need to be you know, like touching myself and rubbing myself and like in a loving way, and just like how I would want a partner to do it. Maybe I give myself a foot massage, or maybe I'm just like hugging myself and just like really being with myself, and then spending quality time with myself also, and maybe that is taking myself on a date or sitting in the bath or taking a walk, whatever it is. So just checking in with your love language. If your love language is acts of like kindness or appreciation, it's like, can you compliment yourself more? If your love language is like, little gifts, it's like, can you like maybe leave yourself little notes or buy yourself flowers or treat yourself to like a dessert or something. Just little things that like you would want from a partner, and like do that for yourself. Okay, so this one is a bigger one. Another part of like self-love is loving all parts of ourselves, and that means the shadows. So even the parts of ourselves that we do not like, loving that too. Loving the fact that we don't like parts of ourselves, bringing love to all of it, bringing love to the wholeness of who we are. So if there are parts of you that are feeling like really down on yourself or really frustrated, how can you show up with compassion and love for those parts of you too? And this is the shadow work. This is the deeper work. This could be the inner child healing, the mother-father wound. Like that could be a whole nother course. But there's so many little pieces of this. But for me, for instance, like this is really vulnerable share, but I'm going to share it because it's very alive for me right now in this moment. Since I haven't had physical touch, because my partner and I, we cuddled every day, every night. And since I haven't had physical touch, I can feel like it didn't happen right away, but because it's been like over a month, I can feel my nervous system is not as regulated. Even though I do all the nervous system regulation practices, I'm not getting something that I was getting consistently. I'm not getting that physical touch at night, sleeping next to somebody where it instantly is calming my nervous system. And I also normally get a massage once a month, and I haven't had a massage in like 2 or 3 months. So which that is going to change in the next week. So I'm already like on it. I'm like, I have to go get a massage. Like that is something my body needs right now. And we'll talk a little bit about that later, but so, and with that, I can feel myself putting on a little bit of weight, and like my stomach like more bloated than normal. And this happened after my last relationship. I started gaining weight right away, and I actually like put on some weight. I was very dysregulated then, and I was like very hard on myself and like all of this, but I'm navigating this in a way of like, this is okay. I'm going to go get a massage. I'm going to love on myself more, and it is going to be okay. And I am okay with whatever happens. And this is where the compassion comes in of like, it's okay. I mean, it's a couple pounds, like it's not a big deal, but I can feel it in my belly. And I can feel it's just because I'm a little more tense, because there's been a lot of movement. I drove across the country. I'm, in a new location. I have had a lot of change happen, and so my body is kind of recalibrating. And I so anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, because even I show up here and there's still things like I'm navigating through, and I'm just meeting myself with compassion for it all, and knowing like it's okay. Like it's okay. I'm going to love myself through it, and it's going to be all good, And so not getting like hard on myself about putting on a couple pounds because my nervous system is a little bit out of whack, because I'm going through like a major transformation in my life, and just being mindful and aware of like what's happening. And so, like, this is a really big piece of it, because oftentimes when the shadows come up, like, we just beat ourselves up of like, why can't I like do this or figure it out, or why is this happening, or blah, and it's okay to do all that, like, and then be the observer of it, and like meet yourself with compassion for all of that, because we are human and we are gonna see the darkness. And so I just want to say that, because when we can meet ourselves with compassion, then our whole world really shifts. Like it really does, because we're having compassion for the parts of us that we've tried to hide and we've tried to push away, but we want to invite them in. We want to invite them in, and there's probably going to be like, there's an opportunity to like, we'll go deeper with this. I'm going to have like another offering that's going to really like nurture like this piece, because this is a really big piece of like what's coming up, and how do we move into it, and how do we sit with it and be with it and meet it with compassion, and find that stillness and that softness in it, and allow it to kind of like dissolve or like dissipate. I just kind of like imagine it just like there's like stickiness, and then it just kind of slowly releases. Sometimes like when I'm doing Reiki, my hands will be like this, and then my fingers will just kind of like start to go like this, and it's kind of like, okay, it's finished, in that spot. So this is like, yeah, this is like a big piece. But if we can just start showing up with some compassion, then that's perfect. That's all we need to do for now. Beautiful. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to just show you a little bit of mirror work and the self-love hugs, which I already kind of showed you. And so the mirror work can be done a few ways, but I just like to look into a mirror, your bathroom mirror, or you can have a handheld mirror. I like to do it in the bathroom. Like, I don't really know why. Or sometimes like if you have like a mirror like in front of your dresser, like that works too. But this can be really uncomfortable if you've never done it before. And so I invite you to do it anyway, even if it feels uncomfortable, because it does get easier. And so what you can do is you look in the mirror. I can't, like, if I look at my eyes on the screen, then I'm not going to be looking into the camera. I'm not really going to be looking at myself, but you look into the mirror and look into your own eyes as if you're like looking into somebody else's eyes, but look into your own eyes and meet yourself there with kindness and compassion. And you can say, I love you, Julie. I love you so much, Julie. You're beautiful, Julie. And or you could say, I am beautiful. You could either speak like to yourself, like I love you, Julie, or you could speak like, I love you, you're so beautiful, or you could say, I'm so beautiful. However you want to do it is totally fine. Just play around with it. But I usually say, like, I love you, Julie. You're so beautiful. You're amazing. You have beautiful eyes. Like, you have a beautiful smile. I love you so much. You're so loved. And so, like, I like to do it like that. And really, when you're doing it, like, really look into your eyes and like feel the vibration coming from your body and feel like that compassion coming from your heart as you're saying it. And it might bring tears to your eyes. It might be really uncomfortable. It might be really awkward at first. But if you can push through that uncomfortable and that resistance, maybe like do a little swaying or do a little shaking, like do the nervous system regulation stuff, if it's really awkward and weird, and then do it again. And I would say do this a couple times a day if you can, or, once or twice a day. And like, it gets easier, it gets less awkward. And, it can be really warming for the heart and really nourishing. So that's one thing that I love. And then you could even write down, like, a little thing you want to say. But anyway, the other thing would be the self-love hugs. And so this is really just, put one arm over the other, one arm under the other, and you can just rub a little, and you can like scratch a little, or you can rub a little, you can squeeze. Squeeze like you're getting a hug from somebody else. And you can do it with me. And just feel the love, like feel yourself giving yourself the love. And then you can switch the arms. So whatever arm is on top can switch. They say like 12 hugs a day for like optimal health. And that's tough sometimes, especially if you don't have a partner, or if you don't have an affectionate partner, or if you don't see your partner a lot. It can be more tough. And so the more hugs the better. So I would invite in that whenever you're feeling like, I don't know, you just need a little like beautiful. Okay, so